Good evening and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. At least 50% of you watching this video are not subscribed, so please hit that subscription button and get me up to 5,000 subscribers by Christmas. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page you are watching currently on mute, simply click on that link to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. And number 2, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. With that, I'm going to transition across to my photographs and encourage all of you who are currently in the live audience to share the show on social media. Once more, if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. I've just finished sharing the show on Facebook, Skype and Twitter, and once more I would encourage anybody who is in the live audience at present to please also share the show. Once more, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click on that link to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules. Number 1, please do not swear. And number 2, if you do get ejected for swearing, please do not try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. Come here, Munchkin. With that, I'm going to transition across to my photographs and wait for our first guest. You may hear from me once more if we're not joined imminently by a guest. If we are, I will introduce them. Come on, sausage, come here. Suppose I could do some shout outs while we're waiting for our first guest. Tim Osman, pleased to have you here with a double S. Nick L, pleased to have you. Let's put the camera on me so you can see my kid harassing me. The Rig, pleased to see you. Very pleased to have you here. OJ McBaggins, thanks for being here. Dayli, Ohio, nice to see you. Flat Earth Christian Truthers, very good to see you. Thanks for being here. Hank Hill, good to see you. Former debatee. Physics Warrior, same, another former debatee. Pleased to have you here in our live chat. Thank you for being here. Charlotte, pleased to see you. Thanks for being here. Channel Q, another person who's been on the panel a couple of times. Thanks for being here. Nice to see you. JJ says hello, Nathan. Hello to you too. Flat Earth Underground, nice to see you. Michael Nolan says, hey Nathan. Hello to you too, Michael. Very pleased to have you here. And I think that's probably about it. I'll just scroll up. Oh, AIK, good to have you here as well. Thanks for being here. Did I miss anybody? Don't think I did. Ron Burgundy. I literally just watched Anchorman with my wife. Good fun. So thank you all very much for being here. Find my remote. I'll transition back to the photos. As I say, you may hear from me one more time to do exactly the same thing and run through the exact same information, should we not get a guest in the next 10 minutes or so. Kings TLC, pleased to have you here. Toto Cult, nice to see you. Dawn Treader UK, nice to have you here. If one of you could check on the link, just click it and make sure it actually works, I'd be very much obliged. Let me know if there's any issues. Rick says the link isn't working for me. Okay, let's repaste it. Yeah, it says it's not working. Every other show, Eleanor, every other show. I will stick it straight into the chat just for anybody who wants it immediately. Oh, there we go. Let's stick it under the live stream. Here's where it crashes. All changes have been saved. Let's check it's actually there. Certainly seems to appear in the info box okay, although it did before I started, I've got to be honest. Not sure.
Yes, I made it.
Hey,
for the people.
Happy days.
Problem with the YouTube app on the Android phones.
Is that what it is?
Don't go through the app. Go through the Internet Explorer. Okay, Nathan Oakley. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Hank. And Curved Water. Hey, wicked. I can actually go on mute and transition across to you guys. Hopefully Hank will stay.
Thank you. Okay, Curved, if you don't mind, let me get my argument out. I think this is the argument that I had that day that I couldn't remember. Okay. Light is electromagnetic radiation, right? Okay, so the thing about light is it has this thing called the reverse square law, just like all electromagnetic radiation or a radio signal. So basically, it works like this. In real life, as you drive further and further away from the city, the radio stations begin to fade because of the reverse square law. Or a CB radio or your cell phone loses signal out in the mountains. Everybody gets that. Nobody's going to argue that with me. How do we see light from 13.8 billion light years away if there is the reverse square law? That was my argument. Thank you for listening. Feel free to knock that one out of the park.
Well, hello. I just came in to make sure that the link was working. I'm trying to finish up eating. And is that question to me or to just anybody in general?
Anybody in general can feel free to answer that question. I would like to know how light can travel that far with the inverse square law, not theory, law in effect.
Okay. Well, um, what do you think the inverse square law is? What does it say, rather?
Well, basically, the further something goes away, its strength exponentially decreases the signal strength. So
Yeah,
the light is going to get weaker and weaker as it goes through nebula clouds or gravitational fields or gravitational lensing. All these things is gonna, affect the light.
yeah. Basically, the intensity will reduce according to
That's
the
correct.
square
Exponentially.
of the distance.
Right.
Okay. Um, it doesn't say anything about like how far anything can travel. It's just about intensity.
Right.
Um, so I might be a little. I guess you're saying that because of like now. Here's another thing. Naked eye, you're not seeing stars anywhere near that far away. 13.8 billion light years or anything like that.
Right. Of course not. We need special
Um,
instruments.
yeah, there are. And I mean, this is not even like a big topic of mine or even a point of contention for me. I don't care how big the universe is. I don't argue that kind of stuff. I was just checking on the inverse square law thing, and it's just a matter of whether you have the sensitivity enough to detect, what they call the photons. Um, then you're going to be able to form the image. There's probably more to the question that I don't really get exactly what it is, or there's some kind of a misunderstanding or something like that maybe here that I'm not addressing. I'm not sure.
Well, the claim is by the mainstream is that the universe is 13.8 billion years old because we can see light from 13.8 billion light years away. So that's how we get the age of the universe, which I think is ludicrous because that's as far as we could see. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how far away the universe has expanded. And if we have seen life from 13.8 billion years ago, well, the universe has been expanding for the past 13.8 billion years. So I think I just debunked it twice, actually. Once because the inverse square law, and once because, well, we got information that's 13.8 billion years old. So, you know, I don't expect anybody to have an answer for this right away. It's not like I set everybody up for a gotcha. I'm just, you know, theorizing my own theories that are going against the mainstream theories.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm just kind of thinking through it with you. I'm sure there's mathematical calculations that would require that, you could work it backwards from the intensity that you do receive, um, and calculate it to figure out a distance or something like that.
I would like to address
Um,
Sleeping Warrior. He said the inverse square law doesn't apply in a vacuum. Space is not a vacuum.
I'm,
It's not a perfect vacuum anyway. Second of all, the inverse square law. See, here's the thing about laws: they're right every time, everywhere you go. Like you're never going to see anywhere where there's a law that, oh, because it was here, it doesn't take effect, right? I mean, look at the laws of thermodynamics. You're never going to prove that wrong. Never.
We've
Entropy
been
is always going to happen.
joined
Hank,
by
you're
Tim
talking about
Osman.
physical laws, but what about, for example, Newton's law of gravitation? That's also technically a law in the same context as you described the inverse square law. So, I mean,
They
if you're
cherry
saying,
pick whatever they need for their little bias. It's just a common tactic they use.
Been joined by Tim Osman and Nick L. Very pleased to have you both here.
thanks a lot.
Well, I wasn't talking about gravitation at the moment. We can talk about that later if you like, if I'm still
I
around.
know, I know, I understand that, but you said that a law is something which always holds, but they also talk about Newton's law of gravitation as a law as well. So it's all fine if you want to say the inverse square law always holds, but then you also have to somewhat consider the fact that the Newton's law of gravitation is also a law in
Yeah, and maybe
describing
the
exactly
Earth is a sphere as well. That's actually science as well. So Hank, it's been years now. How many observations have you done? Have you done any kind of observations at all?
Yeah, I'm always looking at the stars, man. I'm always observing everything. Well, see, here's the thing. My personality, I'm more of a, theoretical guy. I'm always thinking, different theories and stuff. And I'm not trying to debunk the globe or gravity or anything like that. I'm just basically asking questions about, light and how we can see 13.8 billion years ago and away.
Been joined
Tim,
by
If
the
have you,
there's an
Sleeping
inverse
Warrior.
square law.
have you
Because
done any observations?
they have tools that we will never be able to touch, Hank, is why. So you can disbelieve it or believe it, doesn't really matter as far as the shape of the earth goes.
Well, I'm not talking about the shape of the Earth or gravity or anything like that right now. I'm just talking about the 13.8 billion year old universe, I guess.
Been joined by Sleeping Warrior. Pleased to have you here.
So I guess you guys are doing a whole bunch of non sequiturs.
No, it's not non sequiturs. Actually, he came on and kind of showed how hypocritical usually flat earthers are in that they'll say, "Oh, this doesn't work with this and this doesn't work with this," but then just completely deny all, whatever science that goes against the flat earth.
I'm not a flat earther. I'm more of a geocentric agnostic or something.
Good. It's time to drop the flat earth BS because it's beyond stupid by now. There's absolutely zero evidence that there's zero curvature. There's zero evidence that the star trails can work. There's zero evidence for anything that basically the flat earthers started with. Now it's all changed. Now there's walls of water, all of this kind of stuff. So I really don't know when you're going to grow up and put your adult pants on and say,
I'm
hey, you
not
know what? There's enough evidence to believe that it's a sphere and
okay. I'm
mostly
not
against
gonna
the flat earth.
I'm not gonna grow up because my personality type is INTP, which means I'm gonna remain childlike for the rest of my life. So
Look, I,
I'm
I
always
look like
gonna be.
I look like I'm 18. I act like I'm 16. Okay, but for some reason, I'm able to intellectually figure out that there is much more evidence for a spherical Earth than there ever will be for a flat Earth. Why can't you do the same?
Well, I'm not saying anything about the spherical or flat Earth. That's not my argument today.
He's trolling you. He knows there's
No, I'm
evidence
not.
that supports
I'm not,
flat Earth.
Riley,
I'm not.
because this is really getting old, and we see a lot of people that have gotten hurt by this whole meme, and it's kind of time for people to grow up and be like, you know what, this is BS.
Yeah, but Tim, let me ask you: are you religious in any way?
As in, like orthodoxy, like a
Well, let's just say,
religion?
do you go to church, for example?
Absolutely not.
No, but do you stand outside a church on a Sunday afternoon saying, "Hey, I've debunked God"?
No.
So why would you bother with ball Earth, flat Earth, then?
This is a ridiculous argument that I've heard for years now. And I'll go ahead and answer it again because I guess you haven't heard it. Okay. So I don't really know because a lot of times I wake up and I have a different idea for why I think I'm in this. But a lot of it stems from people that are trying to make money off of ignorant people. And that I have a problem with it, dude. Okay. And I used to be a little truther. I used, 2004, I figured out about 9/11, all this kind of stuff. And then the flat earth comes along. Right before that, there was a plane crash. I don't know if you remember that, but that split up the truth or troll community. And then the flat earth came out. And really, really what I've learned is that these people are useless. It
Yeah,
really does separate the wheat from the chaff. Nobody here is going to do anything about the problems of the world that we all talk about. No
may
one.
I go ahead and say? May I go ahead and say that I've never accepted a penny online since I've been on the internet. My channel's not monetized. In
Yeah,
fact,
but
I
you're
try
not
to.
a flat earther. Me neither, dude. I've never had a dollar or a cent come out of this, and nor do I want
Yeah,
to. I think the
me
truth should
too.
be free, but
That's
there
right.
seems to be a bunch of charlatans on the flat earth side that want money.
Well, these flat earthers that want money are doing experiments that need funding.
Okay, well, there's a lot of other people that
Ballers
have
get
done
52
experiments
million a
without
day.
any funding. So what?
The
Well,
ballers
name
get
name
52
name
million a
one
day through
that's done
NASA.
experiments on the ball Earth side that needs funding, other than NASA.
Say that again?
Name one on the ball Earth side that's done any experiments that requires funding.
That requires fun. Why are you asking that?
Well, you just made a statement that there are people on the ball Earth side that are doing experiments that don't ask for funding, but name one that does. that needs
okay,
funding.
that's a different question. Go back and listen to what you actually asked me, and then I thought that's what you were getting at, but you didn't ask me that question.
You made an assertion
So
that there
were people at the beginning, such as Red's Rhetoric and Soundly, that takes probably a very meager, I don't even know how much, if he makes any money, truthfully. But at the beginning, he wasn't. Okay, and you can't tell me, you can't make an argument that you need money as a flat earther to go do experiments. You
Well,
don't
we do
need to tell me
money as
that.
a flat earther to go and do experiments because there's a preponderance of evidence that it's not a ball, that it is a ball.
And where's that evidence, Riley?
You missed
Where
what I
is it?
said. I said
Where is the evidence?
we need the money because there's a preponderance of evidence that we live on a ball. So we do need money to be able to invest and look into this ourselves. We need money. Not all of us can afford a P900, Tim.
Been joined
Actually, I
by
know that
Gem
you can.
Panda. Please
Okay,
have your
so that's
Gem.
a fail argument. I know that
but-
you can.
Yeah,
Please
but not
have your
all of us, I
Gem.
said.
Please have your Gem.
So what does that mean? Not everybody can afford a P900 because, you know, oh, NASA's getting $50 million a day. Therefore, we need ignorant people that have, you know, walked into this fantasy to come on and spend money
No,
and lose family and lose friends.
it means, Nathan, do you want to intersect? Oh, he's dropped. No, maybe not. It means that there are people out there that don't accept we live on a spinning ball that's orbiting the sun that have no money but would like to get involved. Now, yeah, all right, maybe I can afford a P900, but there are hundreds of people out there that can't, that want to, but don't have that money. And why would it be acceptable to silence us on the basis of money when if we had a little bit of money, we could go out and do experiments, which is exactly what FE Core
It's a neither here nor there argument, because really in life, if you want to make $400 extra, then you can supplement your income going and doing something else instead of asking people for it. Okay.
Yeah, but you don't have to give it, do they? It's a choice.
Yeah, of course it's a choice, but you know what? They've been locked into dogma and really with rhetoric, with BS rhetoric and NLP and shills, dude.
But
This
how is
is
it
a joke.
how is it any different to you coming in and telling us that the Earth's a ball and we're all stupid and it's time to move on? You don't do that for money.
So what are we
do you?
talking
You do
about?
that
We're
for
talking
free.
about flat earthers that are asking for money, and how is it different that I come on and say that it's a ball? Well, it's
Yeah,
a lot
exactly.
different, Riley.
No, it's not. You say
Stupid argument again,
free.
dude.
You say you say you do this for free, and you expect flat earthers to do it for free. I don't. I think that it's
I
perfectly
didn't say that I
acceptable.
expect anyone to do anything, Riley. What I said when you asked me why I come out here, I said that I'm pissed off that people think that they need to make a bunch of money to go do quote unquote experiments, but a lot of times there are no results. We don't ever get any completely flat earth. We don't get anything from these people.
That's not true because I presented evidence today.
And did you accept money from people for your stuff? Dude, come on, man. You know who you're talking to. Stop.
Yeah, I do. But if I said to somebody, I wanted to buy a P900, I need 300 quid, dollars, whatever. Anybody want to chuck in 20 quid? If they chose to chuck in 20 quid to save me from spending
That is
300,
on them. Absolutely. Absolutely.
go.
But
So
you know
what's your
what? There's a thin veneer of people that have to be completely biased over the subject to get this kind of money. To be the FE Core, to be, you know, any of these people. Oh, I got $3,000 in payments. My name's Jaron, and I'm only making $1,500 off of Flat Earth. Well, you know what? Go get a job, dude. Like, I don't care.
I agree. But it's your choice whether you decide to give him some money or not. Bob decided to buy him a laser that was quite expensive. What's your problem with that? It's Bob's decision to make.
Now you're just bringing up straw man. Did I ever say that I had a problem with Bob giving a laser to Jaron?
No, but your problem was that Jaron was begging for money, but Bob gave him the money. So what's the problem?
And by that logic, you know, any con man
His logic
is justified in conning anyone, aren't they? And
Yeah,
you
but
could
how
say,
is it
well,
con?
well, that
Where do you draw the
person
line? This
decided
is a
they
lie,
made the
Riley.
choice to give him the money.
No, it's not a lie. It's just an inconvenient truth. There's a difference.
No, you obviously don't know that the Earth is a sphere yet, okay? But the Earth, to many people that have half a brain, is a sphere, and it's demonstrably a sphere.
It's also demonstrably flat. So which one is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not demonstrably flat. Please give me evidence of zero curvature ever.
Do you really want to go down that route right now?
Oh, let's bring up Black Bull Tower and Mick West again. Okay, Riley. You know what? I'm glad that you're doing observations, but you're useless in this conversation because you're biased.
Well, that's clearly not true. You claim
It's clearly not true because you know what? When you see curvature, it's some kind of atmospheric condition, swells or waves, right? That's not bias at all, is it, Riley?
Well, no, I actually came on today, presented evidence of curvature. So what are you talking about?
Hey, Riley, it's not biased at all for you to have a
Did you hear
daytime
what I said?
observation that you completely throw out because you have a nighttime observation that looks more flat. That's
you
not
hear what I
biased at
just
all,
said?
is it, Riley?
Did you hear what I just said? No, obviously not. I came on this afternoon and I presented evidence of curvature from a flat earther position.
Okay, very good. So, from a flat Earth position, curvature over water from a flat Earth position. What is that, Riley?
I said it looks like curvature.
Okay, so is the Earth flat then?
I don't know, but I've got evidence that supports both.
No, you don't.
Nathan, you witnessed it.
Yeah, he presented evidence that could be defined as curvature.
I saw you on here earlier, Riley. I also heard from somebody that you were on with Soundly. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you used the word curvature instead of some ad hoc BS excuse for people to latch onto. Okay. I'm glad.
The point is,
I am.
there's evidence
I'm
that
happy.
supports both sides of the argument, Tim. Not one or the other. It's both. It can be both at all times at a time.
Okay, so why do people's like Soundly and all of these observations that look like curvature, why do they get thrown out to the dust? Why do they get thrown into the trash can?
Cherry picking the best evidence that supports their assertion because of bias.
Cherry
So
picking.
if I show you a video of what looks like curvature, and they just did it on a live stream, they're biased because they just had a P900 and went out there and did it on a live stream. They're
What if I
biased.
showed you evidence of curvature from a flat earther that I accept could be curvature? Would you say that's Riley trolling the flat earthers, or would you say, hey, he's being honest?
Well, if you have curvature in your mouth, Riley, that is we're making leeway here, buddy.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the point is, I've also got evidence of flat, so it works both ways, Tim. It's not one or the other. It appears to be both at different times of the day. So which one is it?
Well, like you said, I don't know, 6 months ago, I guess that during the day it's a sphere and during the night it's flat, right?
Yeah, that's because of atmospheric refraction is a lot less at nighttime, but we're supposed to live on a ball day and night. So we can't have refraction during the day making it look like a sphere if it looks flat as a pancake at night.
It's not flat as a pancake at night, dude.
It kind of looks
It's
that
not.
way, though, because it certainly doesn't look spherical.
So how come Soundly has videos from long ago that show, from far away, cars
wish I
going
had-
on and coming from under the horizon? How does that happen?
I wish I had the answer, but I can tell you this. If it was really the way that he presented it, we would all get it all the time, and there wouldn't even be a debate.
So have you been over to where he lives? Or, I mean, obviously the person that was a flat earther that did go over there was not nearly as zoomed in as he was, right?
Well, you can still see that it's flat as a pancake on that evidence. So, yeah, I'll give you a
No,
little
it's
bit of
not.
curve right at the
You
end.
keep saying flat as a pancake. You're being like coy with me, dude. Don't be.
No, I'm trolling you back. You're trolling us, I'm trolling you back. I've got evidence.
No, I'm
that
not
supports
trolling
both
anybody,
versions.
okay?
You are.
Well, maybe
Coming out
someday
with
you'll
gish
figure out
gout
that the Earth
bollocks.
is a sphere and not everybody on the freaking Earth is an idiot, okay?
No.
Not all the astronomers, not the
No,
two
no.
celestial points that we can all go and observe.
There is evidence that goes both ways, Tim, and it's difficult to work out which one's the
No,
truth.
which one has more evidence by now? Which one
There's
has
enough
more
evidence for both.
Which one has more evidence,
There's
Riley?
enough for both.
And what's the
Which
quality?
one has more evidence, Riley?
There is enough. Well, there's no evidence of curvature, so that puts flat way in the front.
Oh my!
So there's no evidence of curvature, even though you were talking about curvature and you were trying to fill me up just a minute ago. You know what, dude?
There's
You're not
enough
this
evidence
stupid.
of curvature
You're
for
not
it
this
to be
stupid.
credible.
Don't you work in the court system?
No,
No?
no.
We've been
Not
joined
at all?
by AIK.
Nope.
If I can just say a quick hello to AIK, that'd be brilliant.
Okay.
How you doing? It's Al.
Hey Al, what's
Al.
going on, man?
Al K. Please to have
How's
you
it
here.
going, guys?
What I'm saying, Tim, is that there is evidence that goes both ways, and if you're on the fence or you're biased either way, you can cherry pick your way through it and present the stuff that you assert.
Which
to be
one
the
has
position.
more evidence, Riley?
The curvature flat?
Which one has more evidence for the claim the Earth is a sphere or the Earth is flat, Riley? Which one?
There's a lot of evidence that supports both, Tim. If you're going to
Which
claim
one
that
has more, Riley?
I would say flat, Tim. That's why I'm on the flat side of the debate.
You're an idiot then. You're an idiot.
That's fine.
We've been
You're an
joined
idiot.
by
Okay.
Cat Earth. Pleased to have you here, Cat Earth.
But at least I'm an idiot with evidence, though, Tim. Not rhetoric.
I don't think you do.
Yeah, you have no rhetoric, don't you? You're just completely rhetoricless, aren't you?
No, but I do have
You're a
evidence.
hypocrite, dude. You're a hypocrite. You're a liar. You're an intellectual fraud.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if anybody saw the earlier
You are.
hangout, you would see that I was not an intellectual fraud.
Oh, okay. So there's no curvature. There's more evidence for flat. But earlier I was talking about curvature. Okay, Riley. Just continue to be a freaking hypocrite, dude.
Yeah, but I've done like 15, 20 observations of the same thing.
Garbage,
Got
man.
one
Be a little
piece of
bit
evidence.
more intellectually honest
No.
with the people you're lying to. You
I've done it
clown.
about 15 times, Tim, and I've only got evidence of curve once. That doesn't mean it's curved. Every other time it's been flat.
You did get really good evidence, though, didn't you? It was
Yeah, but
really
it's
good.
only once.
That was an amazing shot you got.
But it
and
was
I
only
would-
once, though. It could have been a free.
Yeah, but it was awesome. You even said it's behind
I
curve.
agree.
It
It
looks
was
like
an amazing
Riley.
shot, but it's only one time out of all the times I've done it. All the other
Yeah.
times it's appeared to be flat.
But also,
it was really good, wasn't it? Yeah,
all
Riley,
these times,
Riley.
all these times of flat that you're claiming, that's like your interpretation, and it's not shared by most people that look at it objectively.
Well, that's not that's not necessarily true because there are
It's-
people that support it.
No, but most people that look at it, and certainly the people that look at it objectively, don't agree it looks flat. Flat is a misrepresentation of your observations.
That's ridiculous. How is it misrepresentative to
Well,
show?
I'll explain. I believe that what you should be saying is that you are seeing less curvature than what you think you should. But I don't think it's fair to say you have evidence it's flat.
Okay.
Exactly. You have zero evidence it's flat. Okay. And you're playing coy with me and not saying that there's more evidence for the sphere. Even people like I think Nathan can say, of course there's more evidence for the sphere. Of
Well, what
course
is
there
the-
is.
You said there was more evidence for the sphere earlier, Anthony, when we were speaking. You said, yeah, well, there's more evidence.
He's just a
but you said
freaking
it's like
liar,
maybe it's a
man.
big globe.
Depends
like
on what you class
Jupiter.
as evidence. If you class in empirical, repeatable,
Oh.
observable evidence, there's not a lot to support it. If you accept pseudoscience and mathematics, there's a preponderance of evidence. Depends on what your standard of evidence is.
Well, what about that photo you're showing right now?
Yeah, this is
What's
what we
the-
see from 30 miles, but we're only meant to see the top part of it.
Okay, what's the red ball at the bottom?
That's the love heart at the bottom of the tower.
How
It's
high
like
is
112 feet off the floor.
off the floor? And the floor is above sea level, above the water level, right?
Yeah, but do you understand that
So
that's all
it's
we're meant to
more
see,
high.
though?
It's okay. We're not discussing what we're meant to see. We're discussing what we do see. At least
Yeah,
that's the way I'm looking at it.
That's okay, but what we do see is more than that's all we're supposed to see. We're not meant to see this. This bit down here doesn't. We're not meant to see it.
It's
That's
it's
a problem
okay,
if you're a ball earther.
but you,
That's a total backwards way of looking at it. If there's something missing, then you need to recognise that and explain why it's missing.
No, it's the opposite way around. It's not backwards. It's very much forward. That's all we're meant to see.
No, it's
See-
completely backwards. If there's something missing,
No.
there's something obstructing part of
Yeah.
what you're supposed to see if it was flat.
Right, we're only meant to see that bit. That's what the ball model predicts.
okay, but
That's
and
what we see. That's
tell
not
you
backwards.
refraction. What do you have for the obstruction?
Well, there doesn't appear to be any obstruction there. That's my point.
Well,
Well, we both
there
know
seems
that
to be
that's
a
not true.
line. There's a line running through that photograph that appears to be just beneath that red light. 100
Well,
plus
let's-
feet above the water. That's
let's-
obstruction.
Let's look at the image from the bigger perspective. This is the whole picture. That was a snip of the picture. This is the whole picture.
Define perspective as you just said it. I
Now,
don't
the
even-
line that you're referring to looks to me like it's the pavement, and I would say that because the mirror ball is evident on the right-hand side of the picture, and the mirror ball is 45 feet off the water surface, off the street surface.
All right. Do we know that that's not Ranty that was photographed there right after he got his chem burn?
I win.
Al,
ser-
Al, do you
seriously.
have some of your footage available at all?
Do I have
Um,
somewhat footage?
You need to give
Al
me a minute.
K has excellent footage that you need to look at if you haven't seen before.
Well, I was
One
going to
thing-
say,
Before we do,
Riley,
though, I mean, that's
I
a pretty
went
good
to
point. I mean,
Blackpool, and that was the first place where
what's
I
the
got some
ball
of this
earth
stuff.
explanation for why there isn't any curvature there?
There is curvature there.
There is.
But there's
there
not
is?
the curvature of the required amount. It's miles
See,
off.
Right.
so where is your evidence with zero curvature?
Well,
Zero.
I've kind of given it to you. I mean, look,
But you haven't. But you
I have
haven't.
because look, there's the mirror ball. There's the mirror ball at street level, and that's evidenced in the picture. Let me go back to the line of sight because this is where we got to with Jeremy the other day.
I
There's
don't
the
even know
tower.
that that's actually the mirror ball.
There's the road. Well, Ranty's lined it up perfectly. It matches perfectly with the lines of sight. There's the mirror ball.
Why the mirror ball would look like that at night?
Because it's lit up. It's got 4 or 5 floodlights lighting it up.
That color.
It depends on what color. I think the colors change different colors at different times of the cycle. I think they're on a different colored cycle. But there is the roller coaster. There is the mirror ball at 45 feet above the road surface. That's it. So
How high is this
Wait a minute.
observer anyway, dude?
Hold on.
Look how high you are.
did you say that light was on the tower?
235 feet on the tower. 518 feet.
The light, the light that you were pointing at near the line.
Oh, the lower light.
Yeah.
That's the love heart. That is. I don't know what the height of the love heart is, but I can see that I can show you where it is on the tower, and this is evident all over the place. You can see the love heart is basically it's there,
right?
And that's that's evidenced in the picture.
Yeah, go back to
the
the
light
picture.
that's there.
So if you look at that, you'll see that the light that you're saying is the mirror ball is level with the light you're claiming is the love heart.
I would say it's lower. If I get a line on that and put it right the way across, that's 45 feet, and I think that's 100 feet. So
exactly. Why would they be in line if there's 60 feet of difference?
Awesome.
30 miles away, dude.
Awesome.
30 miles.
Doesn't
it's like these two lights here. Look at these. Can you see these two lights here?
The horizon would ramp up to your left because you're 30 miles away from it.
Can you see these two lights here?
Yep.
These are someone's.
Pete, the big boys are here right now. We don't need any semen stories or anything like that. Okay.
Well, I'm just
actual evidence being presented.
Yeah, nice intro. We've been joined by Pete Shea. Pleased to have you here.
There's the two lights that I was referring to in that last image. They're on the South Pier, and it's the adrenaline blast, and they're 105 feet tall. That's it.
Hey, Pete, is your ringtone a dodo?
Right, again, sorry. Can you go back to your photograph?
Sorry to interrupt as well, Nathan. Can you tell Truth Seeker that you haven't got him muted because he's going mad in the back chat about being muted by you?
He's got himself muted.
I can't unmute him, and I haven't muted him.
Yeah, I just thought I wanted you to tell him that because he won't stop messaging us.
Okay, to unmute Truth Seeker, just tap your phone screen and the mute button will appear.
Oh, don't tell him how.
Riley, can you show your photograph again? Oh, he's away.
Maybe in a minute.
Sorry.
This is extremely important that we flush this little black pool fallacy out right now.
Well, I know he seems to have dropped, but I don't know if he's still
We've
watching.
lost Anthony Riley, and we've been joined by Channel Q.
Blackpool is where I went to first anyway, and for some reason, Anthony, who lives near the place and keeps doing observations there, somehow managed to miss all the things I took photo and video of when I was down there, and it's right out in front of the seafront when you're standing at Blackpool.
Nice.
So I just don't understand why he's not looking across the water. That's one of the things I looked at. It's a gas rig called CPC-1, so it's just there all the time. You can go there any day you want, any weather conditions you want, and takes photographs and video of it and see how much obstruction there is. So why is he missing it and things like that if he lives there?
Thanks, Jem.
Big point being,
if you want to jump
obviously,
back on Anthony Riley, there's a gap now.
Big point being, obviously, that we have zero evidence of zero curvature. Now, of course, there's going to be atmospheric conditions everywhere at any time, but even Dell gets up and shows curvature and obstruction and is still doing what he does. So we have some ignoramuses on the internet that really need to be their feet held to the fire. This is getting absolutely stupid. We have tons of evidence that corroborates the sphere model. Why keep doing this?
It's not just that. These guys, you've all been into doing this stuff for like 2 and 3 years, and you're still using some of the same old, really, really bad arguments that are just straight out of, shit like Eric Dubé's 200 proof.
Yes.
Just complete nonsense, like helicopters hovering above the earth. No, that's just complete shit.
Yep.
Sorry, Nathan.
It's garbage. Absolute garbage. I know that there's new people that come in and they hear the old stuff and they don't get all the nuance of what's happened these 2 or 3 years. But we really need more evidence, mostly with all this money that goes to the flat earthers. We really need evidence for a flat earth because we have none still. And we have thousands of different ways you can corroborate the sphere.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean,
It's a
they
joke.
always switch the argument around for that stuff. They say they need more time because we've had 500 years and all this kind of stuff. And that's why the model works, blah, blah, blah.
Of course.
And then you say
Of
you
course.
push Riley on it, and it's like, oh no, we need money, blah, blah, and, you know, there's not enough evidence for the globe. You know, they switch it around.
Yeah, this is really beyond a joke. It really has swept up a lot of mentally ill people like Pete Shea. That, you know, he's not a harm to anyone but himself, but at the same time they spread, and bad information spreads, and these people call themselves truthers, and they're not, because they are biased. They only look at one side of the story. They don't go and look at Jed Skeptic Media with Al Kaon with tons of different pictures and evidence. They don't go and look at Soundly because he's a shill and he's got CGI Ospreys. This is a joke. Really need people to figure this out sooner or later.
I think it's kind of bad today. Not mean to talk about Riley when he's not here, but Riley did say today in his hangout with Soundly that he doesn't watch Soundly's videos. And I thought that was kind of bad as someone who spends so long sort of slagging off Soundly, you know, and trying to discredit him, that he doesn't even watch his
all
videos.
flat earthers slag off Soundly, and even ones that are my friends. And I'm like, dude, this guy goes out, right? He has hundreds of different observations, maybe of around the same area or whatever, but we don't see this on the flat earth side. Furthermore, he has observations live that people can go and watch, taking you know, Chatter's word for it, go do a barrel roll or whatever. So he is live. It's not some fake, you know, After Effects video that he just put up there as live. This is happening. So these truthers that go and say, oh, this guy's full of crap, when he's sitting there live showing everybody exactly what he could see. Anybody could go and join him. These people on the globe side literally say, hey, I'm doing this experiment. Any flat earther can come. They never come. You know, it's just, I don't get why it continues to be. I really don't.
Completely dishonest.
It is.
Actually, it disgusts me. That's why I do have a problem with Riley, because the way he went after Soundly and the stuff he said about him was just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
In defense of him, I think he's just a bit thoughtless. I don't think some of these people, same with Pete Shea, they don't think how rude they're being about people sometimes. They think it's all just...
They should.
Yeah, they should. I agree with that. That's why I get a bit short with Pete sometimes. But, you know, like I think Riley, like face to face with Soundly in the hangout today, he was just, you know, he was almost friendly with him by the end of it. Because
He can't rejoin. He's saying he's been sniped.
Let me see. I mean, Nate. Pete Shea removed Sleeping Warrior from this group, and Pete Shea left.
So
Yeah,
Pete Shea with
Pete
fake
sniped
Shea.
Riley.
that wasn't
Wow.
nice then, I'm guessing.
Well, let me say that anybody can make a Pete Shea account with the dodo on it. Okay, so
Yeah.
I really don't think that Pete would come in and snipe Riley. I don't
No.
think so.
No, I don't
Of
think
course
I'm
so.
just
not.
saying.
Didn't Pete
Is
speak?
there any way we can check that
Yeah,
account to
Pete
see
would have
if it's
been talking.
Yeah,
Pete?
I'm just going to have to be more insistent
But-
on getting you guys to shut up when someone joins.
Yeah. We should do
Right.
that. If someone joins, let's all shut up.
Well,
It's easy enough.
but
Hopefully Sleeping
like
Warrior's got
I
a
was-
secondary account that he can join from. I'll just ask him in the chat. Well, I suppose he can.
There was
Yeah,
only-
Riley has
there's
several
only
troll
one
accounts he can
Pete
join
Shea
on.
that joined this conversation, and Pete did speak, so we know it's him. So Pete did snipe Riley, because it's not like there's
Wow.
two Pete Shays that joined.
Did he say
It's
hello?
ridiculous.
Really?
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
So
is
that
that what
was
you
the real
just said?
Pete. Are you serious?
He did speak,
He
right?
did speak.
That's-
He
yeah.
did speak, and it was Pete.
Well, guys, that could be a recording as well. So I don't know.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
that's
don't
true
know.
too.
I'm just really doubtful Pete would come in and snipe the only flat earther here while I'm ranting and raving.
He really dislikes Riley.
Doesn't like Riley.
Okay,
not.
maybe it was him then.
Maybe it was.
You got to love it.
So
Riley
anyway, this
was-
is great. We should have this flat Earth debate just fill up with Globers all the time, so that we can just tell them the
Educate people.
truth.
You know what? This is something I was wanting to kind of talk about a wee bit. Was that having watched several of these debates, apart from the obvious thing that you tend to find that the flat earthers that are coming on are generally talking mince and don't know what they're talking about. It seems strange to me that you've got Nate's finally doing something that I think has been needed for a long time. Is doing the open hangout thing again, and people have got the opportunity to come in and say whatever they've got to say and defend the flat Earth side. And there's hardly any flat Earth people coming in here to a really well-known flat Earthers channel who's offering them the chance to speak up. And the few people that are coming in, they're just using the same old shitty diversionary tactics. Because one thing that's really pissed me off about this whole thing is that they always go down the route of asking questions of the globe side or trying to challenge the globe model. They never come in with evidence for flat Earth and defend flat Earth. They don't prove flat Earth in any way, shape, or form. It's always about questioning globers.
I agree.
Yeah. And the ones that do come on here are so few and far between. You have people like YouTube in the chat that has like a notepad document that he's sitting there copying, pasting. Absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. That's all they can do. He doesn't have a voice out here. All he does is sit in chats. He's a worthless human being, and he's been around this long. I mean, it's amazing. If I had a conviction like I do about the spherical Earth and just the obvious evidence that we can all go out and look empirically, that's why I come on. Okay, I have a voice in this whole thing. Not many people don't know Tim Osman, so this is me saying my truth. Yeah, I might be nearly all rhetorical, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you can go out and corroborate. Any flat earther can go out and corroborate what I'm saying. It's not false. If you figure that out, then you just try to figure out how it works on a flat earth instead of denying it.
Exactly. Now, as you say, if they were looking for the truth, if they were objective, it wouldn't be this us versus them mentality. It would just be, right, here's some evidence, let me go and look at it and see where it leads me. Simple as that. So they should listen to what you're saying and go and investigate it. They shouldn't be fighting you on it, but that's actually what they do. They just fight against everything and deny everything rather than just objectively looking at it.
It's literally probably in 5 years going to be classed as some kind of a mental illness called flat earth on YouTube. I mean, seriously, like literally a bunch of shills came out or questionable characters, and it spread an idea, a meme, and people go around and perpetrate it. They don't care if it's true or not. They just want to live in conspiracy land. Oh, you don't know, everything's a conspiracy. This one's at the forefront. It's going to bring all conspiracies. It's going to take down governments and all of this. It's garbage. You guys need to wake up. This is BS. Sorry. You're delusional.
Is, I find it kind of interesting because I wouldn't consider myself like a conspiracy theorist or whatever. I'm a skeptic up to a point, but I'm no into a lot of the things. Like I don't go investigating into a lot of the things that maybe you guys would go and look into if you like. And I can still see it how bad this is going to make all that kind of stuff look. It's so obvious, you know what I mean? That
yes,
if the way these idiots have linked every other potential conspiracy into
you are right on, dude.
Absolutely ridiculing it completely.
You are so right on that. Literally 2.5 years ago, I said my concerns with Mark Sargent, top Sergeant Prepper shill of the flat Earth, and he just laughs and whatever. But yeah, it's literally like just like the Hustler magazine thing that Patricia Steer did. What's the first thing that comes out of her mouth? Well, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I was looking at 9/11 and all this crap. Yeah, then I got friends that say, on the flat Earth side, oh yeah, she did such a great job. No, she didn't. She's doing exactly what I feared. They're tarring us with the same brush so that anyone that has any questions about if the Earth is geocentric or heliocentric, oh, what are you, some flat earther? What are you, an idiot? Oh, maybe there's a question about NASA. What are you, a flat earther? What are you, an idiot? They're putting it into the public consciousness. And what's funny is that they literally are doing what the elite, the people that they're supposedly against, they're doing their bidding. They're going around spreading nonsense. It's garbage.
Exactly.
And you know what's worse? I think what's worse is that I really think that when you sort of see the TV and you watch the news and stuff, they're trying to like make you really depressed or whatever, show you all the worst stuff in life, just make you feel bad. So these people have escaped, but they're now into flat Earth, which is like the worst thing ever because you think the whole world's a conspiracy, everyone's lying, everything's just. I don't know how it's good for your health. Like people like truth,
it's
man.
Not.
Oh, it's definitely not. It's not good for your mental health at all.
Oh, this guy's
And they
leaving
try to
now.
pitch it as if they're like, oh, they're all a bunch of hippies sitting around. Oh, we're artistic and we're having a great time, and this is so great on the philosophical axiom level. But no, there's so many countless examples of people that have literally gotten divorced, lost friends, lost family, live in their mom's attic. Well, I guess I understand why people can't freaking afford a P900. 400, 500 bucks? Seriously? You can't go and supplement your income, go get another job for like 2 weeks or something? Really?
What do you think to the conspiracy that it was actually Nikon that started the flat Earth conspiracy? Sell cameras.
That'd have been beautiful. That'd have been beautiful. This thing has so many. This is like 10D chess to me. Like this thing, I think that the people that might have started maybe perpetrating it didn't know the effect that it would have. And what's furthermore interesting is like the effect that it's had on me. Like I'll never be the same. It's not about like I understand the spherical model. I understand the evidence for it, but like on a huge level, I have gone back epistemologically and like what can I prove? What are we what are we actually seeing here? What about the Big Bang? All of this different stuff, and it's a good thing for like 3% of the people. The rest of them fall into a different set of dogma and call themselves truthers while they go around and spit lies.
I know. I mean, attention seeker here is one of the guys is a perfect example of that. I think he seems to spend 90% of his time just accusing people of being shills and agents. Pete Shea, obviously, he does it all the time. You see this all the time.
Hello,
There's
guys.
constant accusations.
Hello.
The shills. I mean, that was one of the very first things I noticed when I first started coming into some of the videos and looking at the comments.
Now we can hear you, Truth.
Nearly
Oh,
every
thank you.
second one was going, "Oh, you're a shill. You're an agent." It's just bizarre,
Yeah.
warped way of looking at things.
Yeah, and I know somebody on the panel that I personally tried to have a conversation with very recently, that I'm not a real person. I'm working for them. I'm a shill. I'm a deceiver. I'm this. I'm that. Even though I just wanted to get on and say just some information. Hey, you know what? I think that you got the wrong idea about a couple things because you sound like Eric Dubé like 2 years ago. Hey, let's look at some information. You can take it. You can leave it. Whatever. No, I'm a shill. I'm a shill.
That's a little sugar coated than I use, but yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, dude. And
It's
someday
finally
when you wake
unmuted.
up to this, you'll understand, man.
No,
You'll understand.
I've woken up to this, and this is the issue. Is I wanted to have just a simple truth discussion 5 years ago, but anytime I went onto a medium to discuss truth, there'd be about 5 to 10 people that would just sabotage any kind of discussion or debate. It's literally sabotage. Bring up, sexual innuendos. Bring up, oh, it's just a whole bunch of tinfoil hat nutters. They'll stereotype, they'll make assumptions, they'll do anything except discuss what we want to talk about. And that's exactly why we're at the point we're at. You guys have ignored the actual discussions and we've moved on.
No, you haven't moved on
Actually,
because you
I've
keep
been
coming
listening to
back
you
in
for the
here.
last
So
few
you haven't
days,
moved on.
and you don't bring any discussion. All you do is what you just did there, the new.
Yeah.
You keep repeating accusations that everybody else is guilty of this. That's all you do
Yeah.
is make that
No,
accusation.
you could total straw man.
No,
You
these aren't
bring
accusations.
nothing
Look up
to the
No, they are. They're
conversation
accusations.
apart from paranoia.
Dude, you've got to think at some point, maybe if you're not having good conversations with anyone you come across, maybe it's your problem. Maybe
I thought that initially. So
maybe you should go back to your first instinct.
I've taken the years to think about this. Of course, at the first, you flip-flop. Oh, it's a globe. Oh, I don't know the shape, but it's not this shape. Oh, I think it's this. Oh, maybe I was wrong on that. You flip-flop. But after about this many points, we've come to at least an agreement that it, like some people on the panel said, it's not the shape that they tell us. At the least.
Well, not us.
Everybody here besides you is a sphere earther, okay? We realize we have half a brain. We've done the research.
So let's just check I've got sound. Check, check, check. Check, check. So I've ended that broadcast because whoever sniped it has just pissed me off enough for me to end that broadcast and start a new one. So the purpose of this platform is to have an open discussion. Now, you can do pretty much anything you like. Swearing is not one of them. Sniping is not one of them. You know, it seems ridiculous that somebody would want to silence pretty much the only flat earther on the panel at that moment. I think I keep calling him Chris Truthseeker, because Truthseeker joined, there was a second, but Hank Hill isn't. So yeah, it's just outrageous. Don't snipe the hangout. There's no need. You know, there is no need whatsoever. If you want to challenge something that's being said, join the hangout and dispute it. Don't just snipe the other person out. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Pete that did that. But either way, I've put the link in the info box. I'll make sure it's below as well. Didn't think it'd be quite as dramatic as that and just end the other call. I was intending to tell them what I was doing, but there we go. This is the first time I've actually had to do this. But such is life. Not as slick as I would like. Repaste the link. Been joined by, is that Skyfi Bry? Have I recognised the icon correctly? Can you say hello, Bry, if it is you? Yes, I was right. Good memory. Can you say hello, Bry, just to check our sound works?
Hi, Nathan.
Excellent. That's a load off.
When you start the show, can you ask Hank a question to be answered? Because that was very important, but no one answered the question when the show first started.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Just skipped around it and then went on to other stuff. And that was a very important question.
I agree.
I only come on so I can get the link later, so I can go and ask him personally, because I wanted the answer to that question and no one answered it.
Yeah. To summarise what he said, we shouldn't see stars based on the inverse square law, just to put it in a reasonably concise way. That's worked. So the new Hangout link is now below.
Anyway, thanks. I'll keep watching.
Then joined by Agricultural Power. Is that right? Nope. Fair enough. Run by Alex and Channel Q. Thanks for reading.
Hello.
Yeah, everybody's very confused because the hangout dropped.
It's okay.
Yes, I was trying to start a second hangout and it ended the first one. So my apologies. I didn't intend it to be that abrupt.
Nah, that's okay. I think it's fair you do that, actually, Nathan, because I think otherwise people will be able to snipe. Do you know what I mean? Because Riley always gets sniped.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's the reason I was starting a new hangout. I was like, well, if you're just going to snipe people, I'll just start a new hangout, then fine.
Yeah, that makes it just pointless for them to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it disrupts things, but such is life.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
A quick point about Truth Seeker. Whining, crying about, Nathan's muting me, all that kind of nonsense. And then finally, he realized it was on his end. He rebooted.
Yeah.
His problem was solved. Yet he knows all of these vast conspiracies. He knows. He doesn't. He sat there with no evidence, no reason to actually be accusing you of this. He should have tried these other things first.
His fiance actually came on stream and started saying, she said, I think he's a bit unstable or whatever, But then she went mental at us, whatever. I think
what did she say? He asked us why we have a problem with somebody who has different beliefs than us, and attacked us because she thinks that our problem is because he thinks differently or believes differently than us. But the problem really is that his beliefs are that we're prostitutes, we're shills, we've all been lied to. So if his beliefs weren't based on hating me, disliking me, being derogatory towards me, then I wouldn't have any problem with his beliefs. But because his beliefs tell him that I'm less than him, that I'm not as honest as him, I'm not as good as him, then yeah, I have a problem with his beliefs.
I think that's it. I mean, we're willing to have the conversation and talk about your ideas, Truth, but you can't just sit there and insult us and expect the conversation to flow.
Look, this is
we can't keep saying you try because you're not trying with us.
I've tried for years. Everyone on this panel.
Dude, you haven't tried for years with us.
You said you've only been a flat earther for 6 months.
People in this panel.
You said that you've only been a flat earther for 6 months. So how have you tried for
I've been uncovering
years?
the trail of truths that led me to here for about 5 years. All right, so please, I have been happy
You
to have
are
this
blaming
conversation.
us for what you
not knowing
other
any truths
people
already.
did.
Anytime you bring up a point that actually makes, gives them something to think about, they either derail or they start talking about your penis. I mean,
You're derailing right now. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about right now as a proper debate. That's what we're here for. You just got to do it and not go off on rabbit holes and trails. We'll just talk about that one point and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, be relevant.
So what do you want to talk about?
Oh, let's see. Let's look up the Nikon P900 footage. Let's start looking at stars.
Okay, let's talk about stars.
Yeah, let's talk about stars.
Anything in particular? What are we looking at? Out of
He wants to look at P900 footage of stars. So let's let him pull some up.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
If he can't, can you do that? Because you're on your phone.
Oh, I should be able to.
Okay, good.
Okay.
While that's being brought up, I'll do a quick link now that the chaos has finally.
So are we going to talk about how the stars look crazy when you zoom in on them, right? They look all
down for a second while I do it. Should remember to do that first. So now the chaos is over. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. More than 50% of you that are watching this video are not subscribed, so it'd be great to get up to 5,000 subscribers before Christmas. Please hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page that you are currently watching on mute, simply click on the link in the info box below this video to join the show and express your views on the shape of the earth. There are, however, only a couple of rules in the hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. And number 2, please do not try to rejoin the show. If you have been ejected, you will be warmly welcome back on the next stream. With that, I'll encourage anybody who's currently watching to share the show on social media, and I'll transition you back to the action.
You can replicate the 900, crazy star footage with the LED across the
Who are you the authority on focused pictures?
Now,
they look really focused to me. To me,
dude,
I'll claim they're focused.
This is
to me,
how
I'm claiming they're
it
focused.
goes.
No, but
because
truth.
we
Listen.
need-
The people
we
who
need
took
to know
these
who is the judge of what's in focus.
The-
That's
the
all that needs
people-
to be
Why don't
answered.
you
Who is the
look?
judge?
Oh no, Kev, let me take this quickly. Truth. The people who took this footage admit they don't know how to use that. They're using like an autofocus. They don't know how to use the manual focus and get it in focus.
Okay, I'll admit that.
But the people who took these pictures, or some of them at least, have said it wasn't in focus. They used
Not
Okay,
only
but
that-
who is
not
the
only that-
actual judge? What is the actual judge or the cutting line for what's in focus and what's not? That really needs to
when
be
it's a
determined.
pinpoint of light, that means it's in focus.
Well,
We
Truth
don't
Seeker,
know that
Truth
it's a
Seeker,
pinpoint of
my
light.
advice
It
to
could
you,
actually,
Truth Seeker, my advice to
we're
you is to go.
assuming, we're assuming it's a pinpoint of light. That's incorrect fallacy.
We can see it with our own eyes, can't we? We see it with our own eyes that it's a pinpoint of light. So we're just
Truth
zooming in
Seeker,
on that.
Truth
So you're
Seeker, go on,
trusting
go
your
on any
eyes.
site
You're
that does
trusting your
astrophotography.
eyes
Go
to
on
see
any
something
site that does
supposedly billions of
astrophotography.
miles away.
He's not interested.
No, I'm just saying that's how I know it's in focus, because in my eyes it looks in focus.
There's
So you're
literally
trusting your eyes over an 80x zoom lens to
there's
something
Well, no,
billions
tens,
of miles
for what's
away.
in focus.
tens of thousands of amateur astronomers that look at stars every night, and no one reports the crazy star thing. No
Go
one.
on
Let's look at this
Until
P900
the
footage.
P900 came out, we weren't able to have a camera with a cheap lens.
Oh,
that people
don't be
like me could get.
stupid, man. Come
P900
on.
is nothing special optically.
Let's look at the
Nothing special.
P900 footage I just shared.
And also, we've been through this with him, and he knows that telescopes were around before P900s attached to cameras, taking better pictures with better optics than P900s.
Where are those better pictures?
They're all over the freaking internet.
Also, just
I
You
haven't seen
can't
them.
see
I
that in the
haven't-
hangout,
people who
Nathan.
actually use
I've
cameras
seen some
don't
really
know how
clear
to tell
CGI
when
shots
something
from
is in
NASA.
focus or
That's
not.
You need to learn how to do your own research on this. You really
Tap on-
do.
Tap
I
on
think
my
that's- I
icon.
think
That's a
that's where I'm
picture of
winning.
loads of stars. Not one
No,
of them's
you're-
out of focus.
This is a simple issue, dude.
Look, no, this is a simple issue. Who
You're
is
here
the
to
judge?
cock
Who is
everything
the
up.
judge
That's
of what's
it.
in focus?
You're
Who is
just
the
a disruptor.
Who is the judge of what's in focus or not? That's all we need to determine. Because you're just
The people
claiming
that
that
No.
take
Let's
pictures
stop
of
asking
stars.
questions. Look. This is exactly what flat earthers do. Can you give us, because you're the only flat earther here? We're trying to be flat earthers. Can you give us evidence of the flat Earth, please?
Again, I don't make claims to know the shape of the Earth. It appears right now it's way too big to know. So we don't claim that it's flat.
Okay, so you call me a shill, you call me all kinds of stuff because I'm trying to tell you that it's a sphere, but you
And
don't
if
know
it
the
wasn't
shape of the Earth.
true, you wouldn't keep bringing it up like it hurts your feelings so much.
But
So
dude, if you don't-
No.
I
I'm
was
just
making-
telling you what kind of
if I
person you
was
are. You're
making- if I was
conspiratorially
making a
biased,
baseless
dude.
claim that didn't hit any kind of truth, you would have just brushed it off and be like, "This kid's an idiot." But you keep
No.
you
Look,
keep-
guys,
you
I just
keep
want to
trying
point
defend
out that
yourself.
this guy thought that moon
You keep
phases
trying
were
to
caused by the
defend
shadow
yourself.
of the Earth.
I will
Just
admit,
letting you know.
I will concede, and yes, I made a recall error in my memory, something that all humans do commonly.
But it
And the
means you
fact
don't
that
No,
understand
you
the
have
model.
Eric
thought.
Dubé's.
the
You have
fact
Eric
that that's all
Dubé's
you have,
stuff
No, the
rattling
fact
up
that
there.
that's all you have to hang your
You're
hat on
true.
shows how low you are.
You said you
Not,
were
dude.
taught that. Now you're calling it a recall memory error. You said you were taught. You were adamant that you were taught that, and now you're claiming it was a recall memory error.
Yeah, I must have
It's
been adamant
possible
that
that you actually got that information from listening to flat Earth videos that misinformed you.
There's actually globe videos that even make that same mistake. So you guys aren't making
There's-
any kind of
No.
ground here.
No,
Where?
the point is, were you
Mars
taught?
is not that a globe video made that mistake, that a person who
There-
tried to debunk the flat Earth made the mistake.
There's nothing he won't lie
Exactly.
about.
So you're gaining zero ground by
I'm not
bringing
going to
this up. This shows
hear
how
any
little-
accredited physicists tell
That's
you
a
This
straw
shows
man.
how
It's a
little-
total straw
are-
man. Oh,
are-
someone did
Look,
this,
guys,
therefore
once
you believe
again-
it.
tell you
Once
that
again,
the moon phases are
in
caused
Earth
by a
debate-
shadow. You're not going to
And
find
Nathan,
any
please
high
tell the
school
panel
science
next time.
teachers that are going to tell you that the moon phases are caused by your shadow. And honestly, if you
Nathan,
want
I'm
to make
sure
that
I'm sure you're
claim,
listening.
it would be
Channel.
helpful if you would go through and ask some high
Mic
school
on, or
teachers
she just really
whether or
just-
not
okay.
the
Some people can't listen while they talk. So anyway, Nathan, hey, please tell your panel next time you hop shit, brother. That would be excellent. Okay, because I was about to be really upset with you. But anyway,
Oh, by the
Why-
way,
why are
anyway,
you
Nathan,
getting
do you
I'd
have
just
any
like to say
evidence?
There's a nice haircut you got
If
there.
the
It's really nice.
accusations are unfounded, why are you getting so butthurt?
Do you have any evidence for the flat Earth? This is a
I
flat
don't
Earth
claim
debate.
that it's flat, bro.
My accusation.
Okay, so why are you here?
Look at the
Founded.
fallacy. Look at the fallacy you keep trying to hang me up by. I'm not
My-
claiming the shape. I'm not claiming shape, you moron.
You claimed two different stories about why you said the shadow on the moon. You said you were
Oh my
taught
God,
that, and then you
let's
talk about the memory recall.
about the Earth
No,
or
but
the
of course
stars.
you want to change the subject because
No,
you're
I
caught out
conceded.
yet
You're
again.
just gonna ask questions, man.
I
Caught out yet
conceded.
again.
Pathetic.
I said the Earth caused the lunar shadows, and that was a mistake, and it in no way affects my credibility because I
said you were
taught
taught that.
Yeah, it does.
Let's go
It
from
affects
this.
your
So
credibility
he's
by
conceded
research,
his-
dude.
But let's go from
It's
there.
day
So
one.
It also
conceded
he
that.
Affects
just
your
lied
credibility by
about
your
it.
name, which says truth seeker, and here you are spouting things that aren't true.
But let's
I'm a
go-
truther.
Saying that the
You guys are
moon phases are
falsers.
caused by
Let's
the
go
Earth's
to the next
shadow.
point. We've done one point.
So I'm a truther.
I
and you
think
guys
the
are
number one
falsers?
thing that
Are you guys a
affects his
falser, though?
credibility is the fact that he thinks that I'm a shill, and that's crazy. 'Cause
Yeah, he thinks everyone is a
I'm a
shill,
shill.
man. He doesn't know the shape of the Earth, but he calls everyone
I know-
shills. Flat
I know
earthers
the
and
best
globe
way-
earthers.
That's
I know
what
the
flat
best
earthers
way-
do when people disagree with them.
I know
come
the
on,
most
mate, you're a bit
effective way
silly,
to
man.
take control of a talking point is to have people on all sides of the spectrum, and we've already uncovered that.
So you have nothing to provide here, right? Because we can actually teach you if you want to sit on the sidelines about the spherical model, since you don't know it.
Can we debate your fiance? Because she was a lot more reasonable than me.
She's still at work.
Okay.
Is she
You sure it wasn't his nurse?
about the shape of the
Sure it
Earth, or
wasn't
that
his nurse?
It was kind of like a mixture.
or that
I
she
think
thinks
his mum
yeah,
vibe.
out of curiosity?
Might have actually been his mum.
Truth. Since you didn't know, and you probably don't know certain things, you have a panel full of sphere believers, right? And you
Okay.
can ask us anything. So since you have no flat Earth evidence, so ask us some questions about the globe, I guess, since you don't
Who
know.
who on here doesn't believe that we're spinning? Because I heard there were some people saying, "Well, I don't think it's this. I know it's this," and there's a whole spectrum. So who on here is one of the ones that will admit we're not spinning?
I don't believe we're spinning.
I believe
because
it's a
of the Michelson-
possibility.
Okay, who said that? Hank.
It's Hank Hill. Because of the Michelson-Morley experiment, and also because of the
I can't hear you.
Aries failure
They've got to be
experiment. I
quiet.
believe
Here's
it's
our
possible that the Earth
95%er,
is.
okay.
And the Sagnac.
Excuse me. Please don't put any labels on me, sir. I was going to say that I believe that the Earth is geocentric in nature and not spinning.
What is truth?
Right, let's mute that hangout. Can you hear me, Anthony?
Yes.
Can you hear them?
No.
You can't hear them. Okay. Give me a second.
I could before. I can now.
Hello.
Said it's his mum.
I'm his fiance.
That's actually quite good. Oh my god.
It's pretty funny.
See, I have a good sense of humor. That's where I come in.
Well, I'd like to see a bit more of it because did everyone get sniped?
Can you just see if you can? Sorry to interrupt you guys. Can you just pause for 1 second and tell me if you can hear Anthony Riley?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
No, we have not heard
Yeah, I can hear
Anthony
him.
at all.
You can hear him.
I don't see him in here.
He's not in
No,
here.
I don't see him
I've
in
just
here.
brought him in via Skype. So if you're gonna, whoever's sniping him out thinks that they can keep him out by sniping him, they're wrong because I'll just bring him in via Skype, which is exactly what I've now done.
Oh, well, let us hear him talk.
That's good for you, Nathan. The whole thing.
Nobody's sniping anybody here.
The whole
Yeah,
thing
they are.
with the guy
Nobody's
is going to be a
sniped
95% truther.
Yeah, I was sniped twice.
Entertained atheist ideas. I've watched 3-hour evolution documentaries by Aaron Roth. I think I'm pretty open-minded, and as far as for someone to assume that I'm only interested in 95% of the truth, I mean, that's just a major assumption, and that makes an ass out of you.
Look, Hank, you still questioning if the Earth is flat shows enough to me, buddy. Okay. You've been out here. We've been out here for long, long time, bro.
Do we still have mandatory vaccines on the flat Earth?
In California.
We don't have anything on the flat Earth.
Fucking fell for it.
Are there still GMOs on the flat Earth?
We don't have anything on the flat Earth.
No forest either.
Truth. We blocked truth out. I think we're making a breakthrough with him. We're getting there. He made it funny. He made it funny.
It's like Shawshank Redemption, where you're just peeling up the wall one little sand pod at a time, right?
So, yeah, there's literally a group of sphere Earthers. This isn't really good for the flat Earth debate. Is there anybody?
I can go ahead and make
No,
some
I would hop out,
claims. I can make some claims. If you
Yeah, I'm
like.
not here to debate the flat Earth anymore. Just so people know that. I'm just
Okay,
making.
we'll leave then because I actually do want to debate the flat. I just want to get.
There's no debate.
I know there's no debate. That's why it's fun. That's why
I
it's
can play the devil.
Riley is one of the best. Riley's one of the
about
best. But
real
having
subjects
said
if you
that,
guys wanna-
Yeah, but we've nearly got
Go ahead,
Riley.
Tim.
We're
Sorry
so
about that.
close to getting Riley. He is being like honestly today we had a great hangout.
And that is what this format is for, to let the flat earthers air their grievances or whatever.
Yeah, and I heard a whisper
present
he's
that
going to
they
pay
come
me the
up with
£1,000 he owes me, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Well, I've addressed the
Well,
£1,000. There's a video all about it. I'm sure you've seen it more than once.
Well, we want
So I would like to say really quickly that it's very evident how dishonest Riley can be. He actually said the claim was that we don't see these solar eclipses; they happen over the ocean. And then he actually changed the goalpost with Mark, and we have this on video, and says now that yes, there are solar eclipses, but they just happen in space. So that,
Yeah,
I mean,
I've addressed that with a comprehensive video. It's on my channel. It says it's called
doesn't
About
matter
That
what you put in the
£1,000.
video,
It's
you change
clear
the
that I
tune,
was
and when you
correct.
get caught out, and your
You changed the
definition of
goalposts.
eclipse is complete nonsense.
Well, those aren't eclipses.
You can't change the fact that you move the goalpost, Riley, regardless of what you say. In a
I explained it comprehensively on my channel.
Riley,
It's
you
the
misspoke. You got excited. You made a bet. You lost the bet, and you really should pay up.
Yeah, that much is true.
No, but I was thinking, I had a great idea about that bet. Yeah,
only 10 grand, dude.
Sure, Mark will put that towards your trip to Lake Pontchartrain, where you're going to go and video Soundly's thing.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah,
I
go
just wish
find the
there was a
curve, you
flat
know.
earther over
I'll
that
put
way
it
that
off
could go and do it for me.
£1,000. Sure, to go do that, or maybe
But
not.
a P900.
So I can just play something quickly. You said I
what,
could
there's
play
a-
it last time, but I didn't get to play it.
There's a guy. I could be wrong. Is it that guy T Stew? The flat earthers. I think he was supposedly offered something like a $5,000 reward for globe proof or some shit like that, and he claims to have quite a lot of money. Why is
That's
that?
Mars.
No, he offered $5,000 for flat Earth proof.
Because it's semantics.
Right, but-
You can't prove anything to me, Alk. You can show me evidence all day, but I have to prove it to myself. So I'm going to say anything like the two celestial points or anything like that matching up with the latitude and longitude, nothing is going to be 100% proof to any of these people. It's not.
Oh, I get that, but what I was going to say is, in the case of this guy, he's making out like he's rolling in cash. So why isn't he going over to do the MiGFlug flight and go up and see it for himself? You know,
I asked him yesterday why he didn't just launch his own balloon since he didn't trust Dwayne
he
Kellum's
could do all that
footage.
stuff. He's got the money. He could do whatever he wanted.
I mean, you could launch a balloon for well under $1,000.
And there was another video I found earlier. I honestly
the
can't remember the name of the person that made it, and it was the same kind of idea. It was like, oh, I'm offering $1,000 for globe proof, and it was a specific thing about shining a laser over water or some crap. But it's like, contact me and tell me you want to do this experiment and show me the proof of the curvature on the water, and they've got disabled comments on the video.
So I'm going to actually
might.
I'm going to hop off so that, and there's 100 people watching. I'm sure probably at least 40 of them are flat earthers. So please, flat earthers, come on. If you have a conviction about the earth being flat, please come and talk to these people because they will lead you in the right direction. Thank you so much.
It would seem like that bet would be like a bait to get people so that they could get people to argue with and humiliate. Then much like
that's the
much
point.
like what
They're
happens when
obviously,
Dredd invites globers on to debate. Pretty much all he does is yell at them and humiliate them and kick them.
They're just completely dishonest.
If anybody will come on and be serious and honest, they'll have no problems having polite civil discussion with any of us.
Yeah, to be honest, I think if we went back to Hank's original question about why is it possible that we can see stars from so far away when light disperses subject to the inverse square law, that's a good discussion to have because it does support evidence that the stars would be close, and that would contradict the idea that the stars are light years away, right? I agree with Hank completely. Hank, I don't know if you realize I was supporting you with the comments.
It still doesn't put them a few thousand miles away the way you would need them to be. They cannot be.
Yeah, can you show us the maths then that says that we shouldn't be able to see the stars in Riley, please?
Yeah, it's called the application of the inverse square law. We all know that
Can you
rule,
do the
right?
equation then?
No, I can't do the
Show us
equation.
the-
I can just put the figures in. But we know that the inverse square law does apply to headlights
Right,
because
so
you can
can
see.
you show me somewhere where it says that the inverse square law says we shouldn't be able to see stars? Can you show me that, please?
Well, can you show me somewhere where it tells me that we can see for trillions of light years away, and we know that clearly we cannot?
Well, why can't we? Well, you think your eyes go out trillions of light years away, do you think? Do you think that's what happens?
Well,
Riley?
according to your model, of course,
You're right.
because the
No,
stars
no,
are supposed to be
don't.
trillions
No,
and
no, it doesn't.
trillions of years,
You're not
trillions
seeing
of miles away.
stars trillions of miles away with the naked eye. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
The light comes to
listen,
your
look
eye,
at it this way:
Riley.
a
Your eye doesn't leave the
P900
planet
can
and
see
go to the
Blackpool
star.
Tower roughly from 30
Yeah, they
miles
claim
away.
to see
Okay,
the light. They say
but you
they claim to see
expect
the light, not the star.
Well, you
Well,
don't
exactly. What
resolve
you think your eye? You think your eye is seeing 2 billion miles or 2 billion light years away? Is that what you think
Well,
that's happening when you look at a star?
that's what
Honestly,
it's. That's what your model tells us.
It's traveling. It's taken so many billion years to reach your eye. The light has traveled. It's not that you're
Hey.
looking that far away.
Yeah,
quick
the light
simple
is
thing.
light
Quick
is touching
simple
you.
thing.
So light
You
just
can
travels
see the
for
light.
infinity?
You can
Light
see
just
the
travels
light
for
from a little LED on an iPhone from much farther away than you have the capacity to resolve the size of the light source.
So the
Well,
question
Soundly
is,
claims
light
you can see a
travels-
single
a
candle flame from
star.
32 miles, and I've asked him to
You're
prove it,
seeing
and
the
we're still
light
waiting
from
for
it.
that
That's
evidence.
it. You're not seeing the resolving the physical body of the star with your eye.
So where does the light stop? Where does the light stop? When does it
Well,
stop?
that light will stop inside your eye.
Wow, so it travels billions of light years all the way just to get to my eye and stop. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's one
Well,
way
you
to
know,
look
we
at it, I
really
suppose.
don't.
And why doesn't it light
Does
the seat
anybody
next
want
to
to
you
give
if it
them
just
a
misses your
lecture
eye?
just
on
pass
this?
through you.
No, listen,
Oh,
listen,
Jesus.
listen to what Curb just said. This light was traveling for 4.6 billion years until it hit my glorious eyes. But I'm just a speck in this infinite universe. It means nothing.
Well, no, he didn't add that at the end.
He didn't add that little bit at the
No,
end.
it didn't have the stupid bit at the end there, Truth Seeker. Well done. You've just enhanced your
And what happens
credibility
if
as
what
an
happens
idiot
if the
even
light
more.
misses the sensor in your eye and it picks the chair up next to you? Does it light up a little star-shaped light bit on the chair?
No, I
because it's
just
missed your
love
eye.
that this light will travel for billions of miles until it reaches my eye. It'll go through meteors, planet. It'll go through all of these.
It won't go
celestial
through
bodies
meteors. It'll
until
stop
it
at
hits-
meteors.
Correction. That's
Until it hits my
quintillion miles.
And then
Wow.
once it hits
Correction.
my
That's
retina,
quintillion miles.
once it hits my retina,
What
that's
Yeah,
is
because
quintillion
light
miles?
travels. That's why we call them light years, because it's the measure of how
I
long
thought you
it
guys were
takes the
talking
light to
light
travel
years.
the distance.
How do you think you see things normally anyway? How do you think that works? Do you think your eye pops out or something?
No, I think we have a limited perspective and we have a maximum distance we can see clearly.
Yeah, but how does the eye
Do you
work?
understand it physically?
Oh, he's left.
No, he doesn't understand. Never begin a question with "Do you understand?"
He probably listened to Orphan Red
Do you
teach him how
understand
his eyes
on
work.
a physical level how your retina works? Do you,
No, I don't think any person in this panel does firsthand.
No.
Well, actually,
No, none of us have
I do know
eyes.
quite a bit about it. One of my best friends actually was a researcher
So do you work on people's eyes? Are you an optometrist?
No, I don't. But one of my friends was a researcher who discovered some stuff.
Okay, it's secondhand. Let the record be clear. This is secondhand.
Let
knowledge.
him
Now
talk. Man.
disseminate.
Come on, you don't let him talk.
Disseminate your secondhand knowledge. Go ahead.
This is why nobody
I'm
likes
asking
you.
you if you know how the eye sees. You know how the retina sees.
I know how they claim it sees. I don't know how it sees. Of course not. I'm a human being. I'm a mere human being. I can't know everything.
What do you know to counter what they know? Is incredulity your argument then? Because that's all you
No, of
seem to be
course
bringing to the table. Incredulity is all you brought.
I have never seen anything on the surface of the earth.
Incredulity is all you're bringing.
No, I'm just actually showing.
You
that
are a walking fallacy.
all of the claims that you guys are clinging to, they're not substantiated or firsthand.
And I guess every doctor in the world that reads a medical journal and acts on the information that they get in there is being stupid because they didn't do the research and the study and everything themselves.
Of course not. There are
You
things that
can't-
can be learned. There are things
You
that
have a ridiculously unreasonable expectation
there are
of
things that
what
can be
should
learned
and
that
should
are
not
truthful,
be
that are
taken as
secondhand
valid
knowledge.
information.
I'm not saying all secondhand sources are false, but it should be noted that is a secondhand source and it's not your
For
firsthand
what
experience
point?
or accountability.
For what point? For what
From
point?
the
You're
point-
trying to declare it
from the
invalid.
point- From the point
You
that
just
you'll
keep
read
going
these-
down this same path,
I said
right?
this-
You just
no, I said
keep
this again.
denying
What's the
everything.
difference?
You keep
What's the
complaining
difference?
about everything. When are you going to actually provide information?
What's the difference between somebody who reads a science book
Provide
verbatim and a
some
Bible
information.
verbatim?
Information.
It's both
The
secondhand
science
knowledge
book
that's been
information
Tell us
is
some
observable,
facts. Tell us some
testable,
empirical
repeatable,
evidence.
demonstrable.
Provide something. Stop complaining.
I just want to know what's
Hey,
the
I was just going
difference.
to want to say something real fast, if you don't mind. So each light year is like a quintillion amount of miles, right? So what would be quintillion times 13.8 billion? And that's how far travel light. Light travels with the inverse
It
square law.
travels that many miles until it hits your retina.
Hank, you do realize, like I told you before, you're not seeing with your naked eye 13.8 billion light years away. Star light from stars that far away.
Right, I understand,
So why do we
that. He was
keep
the one that
why do
said
we
that it
keep
hits your eye.
Okay, but not that light without the help of
Yeah,
optical.
I actually just looked it up. The furthest star that you can see with the naked eye is about 16,000 light years.
So
Okay, so
16,000 times
with the naked eye.
quintillion. 16,000 times quintillion.
That's like
Okay.
barely.
I'm
barely
perplexed.
at the edge of human
I'm
vision.
perplexed on why this light can travel all the way through our infinitely expanding universe and just
Why-
stops when it hits our
Yeah,
eyes.
you're very
Tell me
complex.
why it can't.
Yeah.
It can travel
Tell
as
me
long
why
as
it
nothing
can't.
stops it, and go on for infinity forever. As long as
Well,
Actually, that's not true due to the inverse
it can't
square
go on
law.
for infinity because if it hits
No,
your retina,
that's not true.
inverse
That is
square
if
law
redshift
applies
is
to how you
actually
see. It doesn't apply to how light travels.
It can't go on for infinity because
Intensity.
we've
The
determined it stops
intensity
at retina.
diminishes. It doesn't even slow down.
But it diminishes exponentially. So
No,
eventually
the
there's
inverse
going to
square
be.
law is not an exponential function. It's a power function.
We should look up
What is-
exponential curves and see how they curve. Let's just see an exponential
Hang
curve.
on, he was trying to explain something to Hank then, and you interrupted him.
And I actually will listen to his information, unlike some truth seekers that are 5% truthers.
The inverse square law is not an exponential function. It's a power function. Because the variable you're not an exponential function is like n to the x, right? Where where basically as you increase in mileage, you get a higher and higher exponent, right? That's why I'm saying n to the x, right? Where x is the mileage going up. That would be an example of an exponential function. But this is not the case with the inverse square law.
Can I give an
The
example?
inverse square law,
we used to do
the
with
exponent
amplifiers.
is fixed at squared, right? Is n squared.
I'll give an example just because we used to use this example for amplifiers. So if you're trying to double the volume of a set of speakers, it's not that you would put double the power in, you'd put about 10 times the amount of power in. And the same applies if you're trying to go away in distance. So that's how it's exponentially more power that you have to put in to get what seemingly a small amount extra out.
Well, it's still not an exponent. Well, you're kind of confusing two things in audio, right? Where you need the human hearing is like logarithmic, right? So you need 10 times the power for a human to perceive it as twice as loud, although on the decibel scale. It's like what, like 3 dB for every double the power or something like that. But no, what I'm getting at is it's not actually an exponential. The inverse square law is not an exponential function because you're not, as the mileage goes up, you're not increasing the size of the exponent. That's why it's not an exponential function.
The way I understand it is.
So what's the correct mathematical?
The inverse square law is a power function,
Inverse,
not an
so
exponential
which means that it's okay. So how does a square work? Like, times itself, right? I mean, I'm not very good at math, and I admit that. So anyone here who's listening to me, I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about.
Here's another way to think about the inverse square law is that your mile per gallon, so to speak, it gets better as you go further and further out. In that, like let's say you want to send a signal to the moon, right? Well, it takes a certain amount of power to get halfway to the moon, but to go the other half, you have to keep increasing the power to get halfway to the moon. But to go from halfway to the moon to all the way to the moon, you need, say 4 times the power.
Where are you getting this information from? Can you cite it?
Yeah, I think he's just giving an example.
Graph 1 over x squared.
No,
Just go ahead and graph 1 over
because
x
you
squared.
just said if you were traveling to the moon, it starts taking more and more energy as the farther you get. I don't see why it would be a constant
What I'm
energy
saying
if there's
is-
no
what
forces
I'm
acting
saying-
upon it.
I think he was just giving an example.
Because supposedly when something gets in the vacuum of space, it doesn't need to keep using more and more energy because there's no drag, there's no friction, there's no nothing.
Remember, you're trying to explain a complex idea to a guy who doesn't understand the same things.
I understand it, and I'm
Yeah,
sitting
but,
here
but
open-minded.
the energy is radiating out. A fixed amount of energy is radiating out in a sphere, right? Under what they call isotropic radiation or whatever, right? It's radiating out in a sphere. So you're going to have less and less energy per square inch the further out you get. That's what the inverse square law.
And if anybody on the panel is willing to drop, I've got Paper Explanator in the chat that's desperate to explain this.
Okay.
I would love to hear Paper's explanation, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
we've got a full panel.
This is actually opening another can of worms on why light can travel all through the infinite space, but it starts getting wishy-washy when we get towards us.
What?
Dude, it's my argument. You come up with an argument, then you can defend it.
We've
I'll
been
be
joined
amazed
by
if he comes up
Paper
with an argument.
Explanator, so let's hear it.
Hi guys.
Good to see you, Paper. Thanks
you
for
doing?
coming in to talk to me. Long time no hear.
You too. Hank, what you've got to look at, you've simply got to crunch the maths. Why we can see a star so far away. When you said the inverse square law, that's absolutely correct. When you're talking and comparing a radio station to a star, it's really a bad comparison.
I don't understand that at all, but let me stop
okay.
right there.
A radio station typically kicks out 2 or 3 kilowatts.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
Okay, a radio station kicks out 2 or 3 kilowatts, something like that. You just got to look at the energy density that it's kicking out.
I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'll be right back, Paper. I know that you came on for me, but just give me a second.
Okay.
In the meantime, let me just fill a little bit of dead time. I just want to apologise to everybody. I came on the beginning of the show the other day and I said how much I thought David was great. And I do think David's great, but I think I may have unleashed a beast that I didn't intend on unleashing. The guy does need to let people speak and respond. He does speak over people all the time. So if you're listening, David, I think you're cool, but you also need to let other people speak. So stop speaking over everyone because it kills
But
kills
Anthony,
the
don't
conversation.
you feel like he doesn't add any of the conversation? All he does is just come out with the most ridiculous, nonsensical, basically just random statements, right? It's just like.
And can I add something also, Riley? Don't sweat it. It's not your fault. And David hasn't changed one bit since you made that statement. He's been the way he's been since he came on to the debate. He hasn't changed at all. So it's not your fault. No apology.
Oh, is he not new? I assumed he was new.
Oh, okay. Are you listening?
Please forgive me.
Are you listening?
Yeah, loud and clear. Yeah, I'll go on mute.
Like I say, you've got to look at a radio station which has a transmitter, which is probably kicking out a couple of kilowatts, something like that. Of course, it transmits over a certain area. You're comparing that to a star. A star, I mean, I know the flat earthers are going to say, well, we don't know what the stars are. Well, a typical star, something like Tau Ceti.
Actually, I know exactly what you guys think the stars are. Can you please continue?
Okay, a typical star similar to the sun that we have is something like Tau Ceti, a mid-range star. If you actually do the calculations, I mean, yes, you've got to assume that the sun is 93 million miles away. Simply just doing the maths and working out the energy density of the radiation falling on Earth per square meter. From that, you can do a calculation to work out how many photons that star is kicking out per second. And for something like the sun, it works out through various different calculations to an almost exact number. It doesn't matter which calculation you use. The calculation works out to about 10 to the power of 45 photons per second being kicked out by that star. Okay, now all you have to do, now yes, the inverse square law applies, of course it does. You use that calculation, 10 to the 45 photons per second. Take that over a distance, I mean, I've done this calculation, take that over a distance of however many light years you want, 30, 40, 50, 1,000.
In this case, 8.3 light minutes.
8.3 light years, is it? Or 8.3 thousand?
Light minutes. Light minutes.
Okay.
From our star.
Yes, from the sun, it's 8.3 light minutes to Earth. Yeah, but when we're looking at how you can see stars that are, several hundred light years away, all you have to do
16,000.
16,000. Okay. So you take, I mean, the star that you can see 16,000 light years away is vastly bigger than the sun. Let's make that
Allegedly.
very clear. but something like the sun, from the distance of Tau Ceti, you do the calculations. Simply work out. Use a sphere of however many, with a radius of however many light years it is away. Okay, take the area of that sphere. Then work out how many photons are falling per square millimeter on that sphere, coming when that thing is giving out 10 to the 45 photons per second. Work out the amount of photons that are falling on the typical pupil of a human eye. Okay, and bearing in mind there's two of them, of let's just say 16 square millimeters of a typical human eye. You'll find that it's around about 3,000 photons per second. Now, studies were done in the late 40s, early 50s, and they determined that the human eye can detect between 3 and 5 photons in a darkened room, a light source emitting 3 to 5 photons that are actually impinging on the eye. So it was giving out enough photons so that between 3 and 5 photons were impinging on the human eye. The human eye could detect the light source. And yet from these stars, you do the math, just simply crunch out the maths, crunch out the figures. You'll find.
Well, I can't do the math. Let me cut you off if you don't mind, Paper. I don't have long to speak.
Just let me finish. You'll find that around about 3,000 photons of light would be falling on the human eye from the likes of a star like Tau Ceti, per second. That's why you can see that star. You can't resolve the star. You can't see the star. It's just like if someone stood with an iPhone from you 100 meters away, you could barely see the person. You couldn't see the phone, and the last thing you could see would be the actual the little camera flash. The tiny
I got 60 seconds. I got 60 seconds.
Tiny little thing, but when that emits a flash, you can see it. That's why you can see a star all those light years away.
Okay, I would like to rebuttal the comparison of the radio tower being not good. Radio emits electromagnetic frequencies.
Well, it emits electromagnetic radiation, which is photons.
Right, excuse me, I didn't mean to say frequencies. Electromagnetic radiation, that was my original claim, yes. So as the radio tower does this, so does the star. The star emits electromagnetic radiation known as light. And even though it's not visible light, it's also light, just like the star emits. The inverse square law says that the further you go away, you're going to have a harder time detecting it, right?
Of course. And that's exactly what I've explained. And the way that's explained, Hank,
well, you said that wasn't a good comparison.
Well, no, all I'm saying is you can forget it, because the way you work it out is by looking at a sphere away from that, whatever distance away, and look at the energy density falling on per square meter or per square millimeter of that sphere. That is the inverse square law.
I need to share a graphic also.
You double the distance, you quadruple or you divide by 4 the amount of energy falling per square meter on that sphere. And that's exactly how it works.
I wanted to post this important picture here, which I think there's a common misunderstanding into what the inverse square law means, which is why they call it an exponential function when it's not. Can someone share that link real quick for me? That inverse square picture of the graph there.
It's being shared.
Who's got it broadcast? I don't see it on anyone's.
No, it just dropped.
Hank, the inverse square law is absolutely true, and that works exactly for the star. But you simply have to just crunch the maths out, work out a star.
Nathan, hold on, real quick, Paper. Nathan is sharing the graphic here, and the important thing to see is so the slope of this line indicates how quickly it's losing energy. The signal, how your signal strength is losing energy, right? The steeper the slope, the faster you're losing energy, right? And if you notice, in the very beginning is when you have, so-called the worst fuel economy, where you go a small distance, but you lose a lot of the initial energy, right? Where you go in the first, 0 to 2, you're losing, 80% of your energy there. But you can see that how quickly the slope flattens out and it gets flatter and flatter and flatter, where you're getting better and better fuel economy, where you're going
No,
much
that's
bigger distances, but you're
misrepresentation.
having
That's not
less and less
how that should
percentage
be
of signal.
interpreted. That's not how that should be interpreted. What that's showing is that
Yeah,
the amount
that's completely wrong.
No, it's not. So as long as you have something sensitive enough to detect things when in the points of the signal where it's kind of flattened out, you can go huge distances and still detect the signal. I mean, when we're talking about radio, for example, we've had this discussion
That's
about, well, how is
completely
it that we
wrong.
can detect the signal from Mars, from the rovers, and things like that, deep space satellites. It's because we can detect picovolts, like just tiny electrical signals we can detect with modern equipment. So as long as you can detect, looking at the inverse square law and how that slope is flattening out as you go, as long as you can detect the signal on the lower range of that scale, you can go huge distances where the loss from the original signal is going from, like I said, towards the end, even doubling the distance at the very tail end of it only decreases the original energy a small amount from that point on.
Nathan, could you please bring up that graph again? He has completely misinterpreted that.
I agree. Epistemology's got that completely wrong.
No, that's not what I'm trying to. I think you're muddying
And
the water there.
can I just
what
ask
I'm saying
Paper?
is, when you've got a point source, let's consider a star as a point source. It's giving out 10 to the 45 photons. Now you take a sphere and take that out. Let's say it's a spherical detector. You take that out to 100 light years, 200 light years, whatever. Then the energy, the amount of photons impinging on each square meter can easily be calculated. And 10 to the 45 is one big number. And when you just take that to 16 square millimeters of the human eye, you will find that the amount of photons falling on 16 square millimeters is over 3,000. That's why you can see the star.
Okay,
All right, now here,
I've got a question for
there's
you.
a huge thing that needs to be addressed. He misinterpreted that graph. It actually says the farther you go, the less strength you have. He keeps trying to reverse it.
No. You're totally misunderstanding.
You kept saying the farther you go, the less it requires.
I'm saying that the further you go, the smaller a percentage of the original signal drop you lose.
And you
but that's misrepresentation, though.
Look at the slope of that line from 0 to 2. That's when that slope is the steepest. That's when you lose the largest percentage of your original signal strength.
Yeah, but
as you go from 2 to 4, you lose a much smaller percentage of the original signal strength.
You kept making a claim that as it
you lose a much smaller percentage of the original signal strength than you did before.
Yeah, but epistemology, the inverse square law states quite categorically, as soon as you double the distance, you quarter the amount of energy. And that graph does show that. But it is still true. It's not that the further away you go, the less you lose per distance. You do in real terms. But the actual percentage, if you double the distance, if you're at 16,000 light years,
but because the distance keeps
light years, you will
the
halve the
distance
amount.
Right. But what you're misunderstanding there is when you're doubling that distance, that doubling is a bigger distance than the distance before it.
Of course.
No, doubling is doubling.
The distance before it. So that's why the slope is flattening out.
Right.
You see how the slope is flattening out as far as your percentage of signal loss from one distance to the next is flattening out. So you're losing a smaller and smaller percentage of the signal as you go further and further out.
Yes.
Can I interrupt and ask Paper a question, please?
Zero. There's nothing else to lose. It's at zero.
No, it's going to a very small number, but as long as you have equipment sensitive enough, you can see that going from 4 to 8, there's not a huge difference in the percentage of signal loss from the original signal.
This graph, to anybody who can actually knows what graphs say, it basically proves that starlight should quickly diminish, very rapidly diminish.
And it does.
It does say that. Yeah, it says that it diminishes, but it doesn't. The rate of diminishing isn't diminishing in the way that you're thinking. By calling it.
No, but you said it was more efficient the further away you get, and it's not. It's much less efficient.
It's my logic. It's my way of thinking. It's always me.
What I'm saying is, if you double the distance, you quarter the energy density. That's what the inverse square law is. It's as simple as that. And if you take that over however many light years you want, you will end up with a figure.
Okay.
And a star the length of Tau Ceti, okay, will give you
Come on, Paper.
will give you 3,000 photons average per second on the human eye. Just crunch.
Okay, I want to point out that it's not only the inverse square law that diminishes the light, also the distance, because stars are spherical, right? So just like a grenade exploding, the further you are away, the less shrapnel you're going to take. Same thing with the photons, right? The further you are away, the less actual photons are going to hit the tiny little blue marble. And this also diminishes the
That
potentially
essentially is
signal
the
of the
inverse
star.
square law, because the inverse square law is assuming isotropic radiation. It's going out in all directions.
Hank, I'm agreeing with you. The further away you go, the less it is. But just crunch the maths. Just do the figures. Work it out. You'll
Well,
find
you're telling
out.
me to crunch the math. It's like me telling you to deliver the pizza. You know, I can't crunch the math. You can't
But
deliver
find the
pizza.
curve.
I've crunched the maths, Hank, and it works out at 3,000 photons per second from a star.
Paper, I've got a
Have you
question
done
for you.
anything? Have you done anything in reality and not on paper or calculations? Have you done anything in reality to prove this?
Well, no, I'm going by what the flat earthers say. Oh, the stars are so many fucking thousands light years away. Okay,
No, I get it,
and it doesn't work, but it does work.
Right,
math
paper
is great,
explanator. I've
but
got a
it's only
question for
as
you.
good as its creator and
You
its
said that the stars were many times bigger than the sun, and it's because of that size variation that allows the light to get to us, and then get through to the retina of our eyes. Right?
Some of the stars are bigger than the sun. Yeah.
You said many times. You said much bigger than the sun. They were your words. Is that correct?
There's some stars that are a million times bigger than the sun.
Have you got any evidence that proves the size of the stars?
Me personally, no.
Well, what I'm asking is, how do we prove the size of the stars? Because if we can prove the size of the stars, we can work out the distance. But it's also the case that if we know the distance, then we can work out the size. But it's a circular evidence. So you need one to get the other, and the other to get the first one. And we don't seem to have either. And it seems to be conjecture.
I'm addressing a particular claim. You're saying that the flat earthers are saying, oh, if these stars are so far away, how can we possibly see them? And I'm explaining to them, even if they're the same size as the sun, then it's quite easily explainable why we can see them, because the amount of photons they're kicking out. Okay.
But what I'm saying is that's
I'm not making any
subject to them
claims to
being
the size
very
of the
big
star.
and very, very far away. But what happens if they're not very big and they're very close and they're very small?
Well, okay, that's one of your theories, okay, which you can't substantiate. I trust the cosmologists who are doing the actual experiments, who are far cleverer than I am. Okay.
Yeah,
and
but
who've
the trouble is
dedicated
we
their
can't
lives
prove the
into this
size or the
research.
distance to be able to prove your assertion to be true. That's the problem.
Anthony, have you ever actually looked into how
What's my
they
assertion?
do all this stuff?
Yeah, arc seconds and arc minutes, but it relies on knowing the distance, and we don't know the distance.
No, it doesn't, Anthony.
Nope.
Yes, it
Who
does.
says we don't
It
know the
doesn't sound like you've actually looked into the methods.
You
that are
can't tell
used.
the size of the
There's several,
stars without knowing the
and
distance.
they change the
We don't-
methods depending
Angular
on the
minutes have got
distance.
nothing to do with the distance, Anthony. Don't
It
be
took them
stupid.
a long time to figure all this stuff out, and they went
So,
through
Mark,
many
can you
stages. They
teach
had
us all
the
how to tell
concerns
the
that
size
you've
of the
got
stars?
now,
Then
and they
can you show
worked
us
their
how it
way
works?
through the problem and figured out a method for doing it, and there's all different methods.
Yeah,
So,
but what I'm saying is, how do we know it's true?
the question is whether you have actually looked into all that to find out what the methods are, because you can't really say that they don't know what they're talking about until you find out what they're really
No,
saying.
I'm saying that the evidence isn't there to support the assertion to be true.
Which
That's
you
what I'm saying.
cannot say because you have not looked into the method.
Anthony,
So
what do you
if
think?
the evidence is there, can somebody
scientists-
present the evidence that proves that the stars are as big as what they claim to be?
Anthony, what do you think the thousands, well, millions of astronomers and physicists all over the world in numerous million or tens of thousands of universities all over the world are doing day in, day out? Do you think they're trying to prove the shape of the Earth?
Do you understand the bandwagon fallacy? Just because everyone believes it's to be true doesn't mean it is true.
Anthony, you really need to find out how they know these things and debate
Yeah,
this.
that's what I'm
and
asking.
tell
Can
us
someone
that-
show me how they know the size of the stars?
Dude,
Yeah,
this is
angular-
complex shit.
The angular
Look
size,
it
if
up.
you Google it,
There's
tells
different
you.
ways for local bodies that to do with angular size
wanna-
as it gets
do you
further
wanna
out.
just
they start
repeat that
using
answer,
things like
Mark?
black
That was
body
brilliant.
radiation.
Sounds
There's a
like
thing you
blind
could look
faith
into
to me.
called the HR diagram. You know, there's some stuff you can look into.
There's a much easier way. Mark's just told us. You just Google it.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
somebody Google it and show it, because when you Google it,
if it had Googled angular, if it had Googled arc minutes and arc seconds, he wouldn't be confused in thinking that you have to know a distance. So
well,
he
can you
hasn't
show
even
it
done
then?
the most basic.
Let's work through
He
the
hasn't
maths.
even done
Can
the
you show
most
it, Mark?
basic of homework, and then he claims that something's wrong. So I don't understand that. How you can claim
So-
something's wrong when you don't even know the basics of the argument.
So show the evidence that proves the size then on what you've just said, Mark. Just show what you've just said to be true.
What? The arc minutes and arc seconds don't have nothing to do with distance?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Do exactly what you've just told us. Go to Google and do what you just said.
Are we going to bet money on this?
This is a flat Earth debate.
Yeah, should we have another
Yeah,
bet on
don't
this?
bet.
You're going to change the
Just show it.
guidelines.
debating
If
whether
you
the
say it's so
Earth is
easy,
flat or
just
round.
show it so that we can see it.
Come on, we're discussing something else right now, David. You just came right in the middle of it. Please wait your turn, sir.
Well, no, hold up, right? Before I do that, Anthony, you Google and you find
Right, I'm going to do a little bit of a plug. Hopefully I'll... These guys. Right, we have about 10 minutes approximately left on this broadcast. So, if you are new to the channel, or you're watching and you are not subscribed, which is about half of you, click that subscribe button and the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, as Scooby-Doo has already done, hit that super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And if you would like to join the panel, if there is a gap, simply click on the link in the info box below this video and be sure to mute the page you are currently watching before you do so. If you've not done so already, please share the show on Skype, Facebook, Twitter and all of your social media platforms. And once more, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
The reverse square law and how it's possible to see light from quintillions of miles away. That's what we're discussing right now, Dave. If you listen,
Can you see the stars from outer space? Can you see the stars from outer space? Can you get the spaceship
So I'm
going
going to
to
ask the flat
outer space
earthers,
to see
do you
the
guys
stars?
accept that the light are actually photons?
Well, Hank,
That's all I want to know. Can you?
Waves and particles.
That's the whole point of
We
gravitation.
don't want to hear about them waves and particles.
hey Hank, it's not a major thing, but if you called it the inverse square law rather than the reverse square law, it would help you.
Then use them.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
I'm not very educated, so pardon my misspeaking.
I'm just trying to help you out, man.
Can I quickly ask Anthony something?
Yeah.
Like I said, not a big deal.
Anthony, I've just posted an image in the chat. When you're talking about things going over the horizon,
Dave, get the phone, dude.
Things being squashed, I'd just like you to take a look at that image and tell me how you think that works.
Well, what I'll do is
background.
I can't see it because I'm not in the chat. I'm on Skype with Nathan. But what I'd like Nathan to do, if he would, is he's showing the picture now.
I'm not sure
But
who
once
you're
he's
talking
done
to.
this,
Who you talking to,
given
David?
that I've asked Mark if he would show us how to do the arc seconds and arc
Okay.
minutes, and he's not done it, I'd ask
Anthony's probably home on
Nathan
his
to
computer.
show
I'm
the
operating.
screen so that we can see
Right.
that arc minutes and arc seconds are subject to knowing the distance.
Anthony dropped.
No, I'm still
No,
here.
he's not even in the hangout. He's on.
he's
He's
on
on
Skype.
Nathan. He's on Nathan's.
Oh, well,
thing.
I've just posted an image there on the right. If anyone can see it, clearly shows a boat pretty much halfway hidden, with the background of the mountain, the forest mountain behind it, not obscured, and yet the boat is half missing. I'd like him to explain that.
Well, up until
Nathan,
today,
probably
I
have
would
to
have explained.
Skype the link to him.
Well, since he's not here,
Well, that's
I'm going to go ahead
related
and
to-
say that
Sorry, Hank.
Am I not here?
if the picture is taken on Earth, which I'm assuming it is,
No,
then
it's
there's
taken
going
on
to be.
Mars, Hank.
Yeah, you can be heard, Anthony.
Okay, well, I have
They
nothing
can
to
hear
say
you.
then, because
I don't think they can.
we're not debating the shape of Mars.
If it was taken on Earth, I mean, is that a stupid question or what?
I'm
Sorry,
ignorant.
you
I don't
guys couldn't
am I
hear
able
Anthony
to be
because I've
heard,
muted
guys?
Of course
myself.
taken on
Sorry.
Earth. I mean,
Yeah,
you
anyway,
can be heard
Anthony,
now,
if you have a
Anthony,
look,
sorry.
I've posted the link for my part of the argument. Where's your link for your part of the argument?
Guys,
A
I'm
movie
sorry, I
called
didn't
"Where's the
realize.
Curve at?" It could star maybe Sylvester Stallone. Where's the curve?
Where's the curve?
You find the curve.
Hey.
You find the curve. I'm gonna knock you out.
This is an interesting picture that Al has up here.
Yeah,
Let's
let Al
talk about
let
it.
Al present his pictures because you want.
So can you see that as well, Anthony? I've shared the link with you on Skype.
Yeah, I've got the image. Right, the answer to that question, and then I want to go back to the arc seconds and arc minutes. So let's not lose track of that because that's an important point.
Half that boat is missing.
Up
Yeah,
until
the picture
today,
looks up
my
as
view on this would have been explained by applying the principles that we saw in the Matrix Decode video, which showed that when there was an incoming tide, the shoreline repels the incoming tide and creates a concertina effect and blocks out things that are in the distance that are very, very small. Play the Matrix Decode
Oh,
video, you'll
water
see
was
it.
always flat, Anthony.
Pardon?
Except
Water
in
was always
times.
flat.
Except
Unless
in
it comes up
times
against the
concertina.
resistance like a wall, like the shoreline, then yeah, it would be flat until it comes up a resistance, and then it would create a small back push, a small back pressure.
So it's
Come
like
on,
a-
Flat tsunami.
Give us a break,
Are you
man.
are you
Come on,
familiar? Are you
grow
familiar
up.
with? Are you
Flat
familiar with the
tsunami.
Matrix
What
Decode
about in the
video?
middle
It
of the
clearly
ocean,
shows
Anthony?
it.
What about when people in the middle of the ocean see boats going over the curve? What happens then? Is there some
Have you got
kind
any
of,
evidence of that, Mark?
What do you mean? Any evidence?
Well, I'll take that as a no.
So you want me to take a ship out into the middle of the ocean and take a picture for you, shall I?
Well, you made the
Thanks.
assertion that people
Sure.
see boats going over the horizon, and I don't think that's true. So I'm asking you, have you got any evidence for it?
It seems quite clear, Anthony, that
You're a joke, Anthony.
you realise, Anthony, that you know that you're not
Can
making.
we go back to the application or the maths on the minutes and arc seconds, please? Because the assertion was that it's got nothing to do with distance, and I'd really like to show that it clearly does have something to do with
Our
distance.
minutes and our seconds are measurements of angles. What is your
Yeah,
problem?
but Nath, could you present that link I sent to you with the arc minutes and seconds? Because obviously I can't do it through Skype, or maybe I
How
don't know.
hyper technical and semantic is this going to be?
Very straightforward. I just want to show that it clearly does rely on knowing the distance, because the assertion by Mark is that it doesn't, but it clearly does.
No, distance will change the measurement.
Right, it's being
All right.
shared on screen. I'll
That's
just bring it up in the Hangout as well. Just give me 10 seconds.
Be always going downhill if it was
It's
on a
not
ball.
a measure of distance or anything like that, just to clear things up.
Just like a river. The ocean would
Hang
be
on,
like
hang
a
on.
river if they were on a ball. They'd always be circling around.
Thank
Can
you, David.
Can you all see that?
Why don't you prove the tides? The
Right,
tides go
guys.
north, don't they?
Guys, let the record show that Mark claims that the arc minutes and seconds are not based on knowing the distance, but you can see the football on the right-hand side of the image. It has an angular size of 1 degree based on 775 meters. So yes, you can count the distance, the size, the angular size of a football, in this case a planet, if you know how far away it is. But if you don't know how far away it is, that degree level changes. So it does rely on the
Regardless
distance. Mark,
of
you're
how
wrong.
far away it is, you can measure the angle.
Yeah,
and
but
know
we
the
don't know how
arc
far
minutes,
away they
arc
are. That's the
seconds.
point.
You can measure the angular diameter without having one freaking clue as to the distance.
But what happens if you push that football across the screen
That
further
is
to
a
make that angle smaller?
That's a statement of fact, Anthony. You don't
No.
need to know what distance to measure the angular diameter.
You absolutely do.
That's
Because
it.
if that
No, you
football,
do not need to know
listen,
the distance.
Curved, listen. If that football gets
Anthony,
pushed further over to the right of
Anthony,
the screen,
stop.
the angle gets
Read
smaller.
this. Take some time. Read through this. Figure it out. Don't embarrass yourself further. That's my
No,
advice.
I
to
stand
you.
by my position.
You're
If
making
you
a
know the
major
distance-
mistake right
I
here.
wouldn't advise it, Anthony. You're wrong.
No, it's not. Look at the football illustration. It's
Anthony,
perfect.
you're
Confusing
wrong.
two things, Anthony. The point is
No.
that the angular diameter is a thing that stands on its own, but it can change according to distance.
Yeah,
As I said,
so-
Anthony.
Yeah, so if you've got a planet and you
as I
think that
said.
it's got a distance of X, and then you give it an angular resolution, an angular size of Y, then
You
you're
don't
basing
give
that on
it
the
an
distance.
angular size, dude. You measure the angular size.
Yeah, but
You
it's
give
subject
it.
to the distance.
Let's just call that angular
Oh
diameter
my
X
God,
blueberry. You don't
If the
assign
distance is
angular
X
diameter.
and the angle is Y, there is a continuous variable which is based on distance that makes the Y angle change. So as it gets further away, the angle gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
And with that, I'm going to say a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for joining us on this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to the debate panel for making this possible. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.